This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 351 of the Dressage Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Total Saddle Fit, 2K Gray, Kentucky Performance Products, and Bed in a Box. On today's show, we've got Karen Eisberg for a nutrition segment focused on feeding vitamin E. Hilary Moore-Hebert from Dressage Today joins us, and TotalSaddleFit.com has a new product that we're excited to talk about. Listen in.
This is Reese Koffler-Stanfield from Loxahatchee, Florida.
And this is Philip Parks from Rockwood, Ontario, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show. Hi, Reese.
Hi, Phil. What's going on?
Yeah, not much. Just dealing with the cold and stuff. I guess we don't have Glenn today. He's doing something else. He's hanging out with sponsors.
He is hanging out with our awesome sponsor, Karen Eisberg from Kentucky Performance Products. So they came on, did the segment, and then they left it in theoretically our capable hands.
I don't know.
I know it always goes wrong when it's in our capable, not so capable hands. But how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I think feeling today like maybe there's a turn in the weather to something warmer. Things are sort of melting. I really hope it's going to get better, but
it got rough there.
Yeah, it did get really rough. So I hope everybody's okay after the deep.
Me too.
It's one of those polar vortexes thingies.
That's when you're in Florida and you're like, nobody wants to talk to me right now. They all want to stab me. But yeah, well, it's been busy down here. We are full steam ahead for sure. Down here, we're training. Elin Court is doing fantastically. I'm enjoying, it's really fun as an instructor. And I know all instructors out there or all students can kind of relate to this. As instructors, we teach a lot. Phil and I both teach a lot, and we love it. But there is something about, having lessons ourselves that is so, sure. It invigorates you. It makes me a better teacher. So I'm going to say this for all the students out there. The best thing you can do for your instructor is help them. Help them maybe financially get to a trainer's conference or maybe a lesson with their trainer if you ever want to give them a gift or something. It really is fantastic. And I come back just a better instructor because I'm also sort of getting new ideas and seeing things.
All that learning trickles down, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And it's sort of infectious, this is so great. And our weather is actually a little bit better here. We've not had the best weather this season. I know no one wants to hear that, but I have seen a lot of rain, not just sprinkling rain, like pouring rain.
Yeah,
and tornadoes.
Yeah, there's not too many indoors or covered arenas in Florida, so everyone suffers a little bit when you get the bad weather.
No, it's true. It's true.
But like you said, I don't feel so bad for you. So.
Nobody feels sorry for us.
Move on.
But
yeah.
But there were tornadoes the other day, and that was a little scary. I'm not gonna lie.
So not much happening in the shows this week, I guess.
It's a quiet week here.
Yep. Yeah. After the giant 5-star, everybody was taking a break, I suppose.
Yes, I think so. Everyone's been, just training. There's a lot of clinics going on, but actually it's been a pretty quiet week this week. Right after this commercial from 2K Gray, we're going to come back and talk with contributing editor of Dressage Today and our favorite monthly guest, Hilary Moore-Hebert.
2K Gray's mission is to honor a woman's adventurous spirit by creating apparel that offers comfort while riding, plus style when you're not. In 2011, Grand Prix rider and entrepreneur Chris Pinto joined forces with fashion industry veteran Meryl Ranzer to create a chic and sophisticated line of performance riding breeches that look and feel better than your favorite pair of jeans. The line, made for women by women, is now being expanded and refined by teaming up with global equine manufacturer and distributor Intrepid International and notable fashion designer Kia Tomlin. 2K Gray offers serious riding clothes that are sturdy in the saddle, yet slimming, stunning, and sophisticated everywhere else. Each detail, from pocket shape to seam placement, is designed to enhance a woman's silhouette and to celebrate different body types. The collection is machine washable and proudly designed in the USA. Check out the new and exciting designs at 2kgray.com. That's the number 2, the letter K, GREY.com. You can also follow them on Facebook at 2K Gray. Feel better and ride better. 2K Gray.
Well, tonight we are so excited to have Hilary Moore-Hebert, contributing editor from Dressage, today on for her monthly segment. Hilary, how are you?
I am doing very well. How are you guys?
Well, I have to know how that sweet baby's doing.
Hopefully
cute.
he will be very quiet.
Okay. Well, just tell him he doesn't want to be on the radio just yet.
It's so cute. Oh my! I got to meet him in person because you did a really cool thing with your students a couple weeks ago, a month ago.
Mhm.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about what you did?
Yeah, so I have, as many instructors do, quite a few adult amateurs for students, and they have some pretty high-powered jobs, and outside of Washington, D.C. is where the barn is located. So we came down to Florida, but instead of bringing horses, we did a bunch of unmounted clinics. And Reese was lucky enough to get to hang out with us. Just kidding.
Oh, yeah,
we
it was
were very
awesome.
lucky to hang out with her.
No, it was awesome. It was super fun. I loved it.
And it was really interesting. She had a student who was moving up to third level at the show, and she talked a little bit about that transition. And that was really neat. And then we also got to have a seat lesson with Heather Blitz, and she was giving us all a bunch of instructions on how to do things. And then we got to see, this was really cool, David Marcus was teaching Toonie Page on the horse that she had that won at the CDI that same weekend. And then we were watching Nicholas Fife, and Robert Dover came and sat down next to us and started teaching him. So that was really cool.
That is
we
awesome.
also got to do a bunch of other things, including going over to West to see the jumping stuff and do the shopping there, which if you don't go over fences is still a phenomenal thing to see. So we saw some of the Grand Prix jumper stuff, and oh my gosh, we got to see the Grand Prix freestyle, which was unbelievable. That was that Saturday night because it was rained out for Friday. So that was really cool.
You guys did. You came
You guys
on.
are jam-packed, crazy time.
Jam-packed, and it rained. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
did it rain when you guys were here?
Yeah, and not to pat myself on the back, but I brought my 4-month-old son with me.
Yeah, do the
And
whole
my mom
tour.
met us down there, but he was with us for the trip. So he flew on the airplane, and he was hanging out. He stayed in the hotel. I spoke at the Young Rider Graduate Program. I am suddenly realizing how much we did, but I wanted to talk for a second, actually, about the Young Rider Graduate Program, because I spoke about juggling life and your riding, and it was very interesting how many people at the end, when I said, raise your hand if you think that they're like children don't exist in the sport, that you don't see them around, that people don't have kids. And this is a group of 20-somethings who are, hoping to do high performance, and almost everyone in the room raised their hand. And I think it's really interesting. I was, going around to the different barns, and there's definitely not only kids, but people have families. And I think it's important for people who are listening to your show that are aspiring professionals to realize, I got to meet Reese's husband. He was down visiting. It's not about just being an island in the dressage world. You need to have a support system, in case I haven't said that 1,000 times. But yes, we do have kids. We do have husbands, and
or wives.
I think that's an important thing. Yes, yes.
Or wives. Yeah, I totally forgot my husband was in. Yeah, he came in and he was so cute. It was a holiday, so he had Monday off, and that was sort of what worked for us. But I said, you're coming on like a really busy weekend, and he said, it's fine. I'll just walk around and hang out. And I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. And he did. He walked around the horse show. He came back. He came back with French fries. I was like, what were you doing? So it is true. We do. We have lives. And I think, Hilary, you do an amazing job. You have a husband, you have a new baby, Phil has a wife, and we all, it is true. Like, we all juggle having a real life, and we all try to do that. And we're all friends. it's fun that I'm thankful that I have Philip in my life because he sometimes helps me with my husband if I really want a new horse or something. I'm like, I think you should call Philip. It works well. I've used that, or I think you should talk to Philip about this. I think it's a good idea, but it is true, and I think that is a good thing to say is we all do kind of juggle a lot of things to make this work, just like any other career.
Yeah, and and as a professional, I mean, I deal directly with the clients, but those clients have other people associated with them, and that are a big part of. You have to realize there's big families, and everybody gets involved with showing the horse, right? And so you have to be thinking about these things. So, Hilary, what else were you going to bring to us from your jam-packed weekend? Some tips and things. I think.
So I would say the most memorable thing that I saw, and this may be an unusual thing to say, but in the freestyle, and apologies if I kill his name, but Juan Matuta Jr. did the freestyle with a pretty green Grand Prix horse. Reese, did you watch the freestyle?
No, talking about balancing, my husband and I had a plan to go to Delray for that night, and they had moved the freestyle from Friday night, which we were going to go and watch, but we had plans and to get away actually from Wellington, so I wasn't there.
Luckily with the Wellington, you can go see a phenomenal 3 or 5 star. Every minute of every weekend.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Just go the next weekend. But I think there was 2 things that I saw about it that I think was the most memorable. The first is, I don't know how old he is, but he, is not older than 22 years old.
He's 18.
Well, he still shows in the Young Riders.
I think he's junior. I think he's 18.
That's what I was thinking, and I didn't want to say that, but he went into the ring, and technically, he did very well. But technically, he now has 70 years to perfect it based on the oldest Olympic age of a rider.
Right.
But it was a very clean test. The music was to a lot of the different Rocky music, and the musicality of it and the way it matched a lot of the expression in the horse, I thought was a lot of what we need to see with some of the riders coming up. He seemed to have an awareness of the music and how it matched the performance aspect of it. For his age, in a surprisingly, he did it very, very well. Even if he were, twice his age, I would have been impressed. But in general, too, I think the reason that it struck me is because he has a level of confidence that exceeds his age, tenfold. And I think for all of the listeners, even if you're going out, at a training level and it's your first show, a lot of why he gives the impression that it's a good test is because he has a horse that doesn't have years and years of experience at the Grand Prix, but he rides like he's been doing this forever. And as a result, his horse seems very confident. And then the 2 of them give the impression of control, not in a way of he's, submission I'm talking about, but control like they have been practiced enough that they're confident in what they're doing. So I really was struck by his ride. You have Tina and Nicola and some of the other riders that have just been doing this forever that are phenomenal riders, and I love watching them. But his confidence, I think, is really one of the things that supports his technical skill from being in a family that has supported that. But, I was surprised. I kind of was thinking about that, and I definitely is the first thing that I noticed out of the weekend.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And he does a great job. I mean, he really does. And he's gotten quite a lot of experience, and he's got a great seat. And he's the heartthrob of Wellington. I'm not going to lie. But he's a really, really nice kid. He's a really, really nice kid and a great family. But I agree. I mean, he does such a great job. And but I think that you brought it up. I mean, when you come to Wellington, and I think that was what was so cool about your group's tour. Now, most people, you have an unbelievable amount of connections, but this was such a fun weekend, and you girls were having a blast. Every time I looked up, I saw you all having fun.
Yeah, I think, I think if I were to run the Wellington Tourism Board, I would be like out making calls, because I honestly believe you don't have to have $1 billion. If you can go and have it be, some of my students, they considered this, the vacation that they've taken for the first time in several years because they work so hard. But for them, it rained, but otherwise we got our share of, little sunburns, and the weather was gorgeous. We went out and had casual dinners at some cool places. And so you can have it be that it's a vacation spot, and you don't have to necessarily bring your horses down to do all of the things that you would to immerse yourself. If you're down there and you have 4 horses in training, you still can take your time off to go and do clinics and watch shows and stuff like that. But, I think more people need to come down just to spectate and have it be that they feel comfortable with that as a possibility. That's no different than if you're just going for a trip to Florida anyway. There's a lot of shopping and some other things to do, that isn't related to the horse world. So you can even come with some other friends, and maybe just 2 of your days would be watching horse show stuff while they're at the spa or something. But it's a great place to bring both a family or, adult friends, or just go by yourself even. There's so much to do.
Well, I agree. And I think it was a really, really good thing. I thought it was a great idea. And if anybody has questions or want to find you online, how do they do that?
So you can learn, there's actually an insider's guide to Wellington on the website at dressagetoday.com that Nancy Jaffa wrote. If you guys want to check that out, there's a lot of information. You can also check us out on Facebook, where there's some reports from the shows this season and pictures, Twitter, Pinterest, and YouTube.
Well, tonight it is so fun to have Karen Isberg, president of Kentucky Performance Products. She is actually in the studio with Glenn. How are you guys?
We're doing really well. It's nice and warm here in Florida, so I'm enjoying it instead of being in cold Kentucky.
I know. So, Karen, what are you doing in Ocala?
Well, I've come down here to watch my favorite boy move up to training level. He moved up last weekend, and I just had to come down and see it. So,
yeah, training eventing.
Yes,
training level eventing.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was the move up like for him? We've got to know.
Well, he was great. He didn't seem to bother at all. He minded at all. In fact, I think he liked having bigger jumps to jump, because he's always been kind of distracted out on course, kind of going to Megan, oh, look at those people by the jump, and oh, look's over there. And with training level, he had to gallop a little faster and jump a little higher, and I think that got his attention.
For new listeners, let's just tell them you own this horse. You're the owner of an event horse.
Yes.
And who's the rider?
The rider is Megan Lynn.
Megan Lynn.
Yes.
We interviewed her on one of the shows one day. She's super excited to be riding your horse too. This is a talented little boy.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. I've seen him in the flesh, and he is fantastic. So how was the dressage, since we're on the Dressage radio show? What was his dressage test like?
Oh, you mean we have to care about that?
The dressage was
No.
good. He got a 26, which, of course,
Wow, that's
the
really
lower
good,
score
actually.
is better
Yeah.
in eventing.
Yeah.
And
Minus from 100.
Reese, the
That's quite
wind
good.
was blowing 100 miles an hour. I kid you not.
I believe it.
I mean, he
happened.
came in as he was coming in the ring. Blew over.
Oh my God.
Fell over. And the people were circling at the end of the ring. They couldn't hear the whistles. They couldn't hear the bells. The judges were like standing up and waving. It's time to come in. And Megan said it was really hard because she couldn't judge his speed very well, his pace, because she would be going away from the wind, and it would feel like she was going really fast. And then when she came into the wind, it would feel like she was going really slow. So she came out going, oh, I don't know what we did. I can't tell.
Oh, you know what? That is,
problem.
it's true. And down here, actually, well, I guess all over in spring and fall in Kentucky's the same. Like the weather can be a big factor.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know how, we have an indoor at home, and there are times when I try to walk out in the rain so my guys aren't, like, oh my God, it's raining. But I get it. We had a couple weeks ago when I did showed Hello, it literally was 85, and then I got on him and it was 39 degrees the next morning and blowing. And he has no hair, and oh my gosh, it was fun.
Well, he
exciting.
was good. He handled it well, and he went in, and he's very steady in dressage. He just very rhythmic and very steady, and he did really well. We were proud of him.
Oh, that is so cool. I love it. Well, Karen, you are back for our Kentucky Performance Products Nutrition Tip of the Month. And this is something that you and I have worked with together. And we're talking about the wonders of vitamin E, right?
Yes.
Love it. So let's get started. Let's talk about vitamin E, why you feed it, all those good things.
Well, vitamin E is one of the most powerful antioxidants that is available to the horse. And what an antioxidant does is it limits the damage caused by everyday oxidative stress. And it maintains healthy muscles and nerve function. And it supports a really strong immune system in horses. And you've used it on some of your guys, and you've seen a big difference, haven't you?
Unbelievable. Well, actually, I'm not going to say I was a skeptic. Well, I was kind of a skeptic, not going to lie. And you said one horse we were particularly having trouble getting weight on. And I'm so lucky to have you at home, and I can call and say, Karen, I'm struggling with this horse. I need you to come over. And your team is fantastic at doing that, answering any questions that you may have. And I get you in the flesh, and you came over, and we really have worked on this one particular horse. He was a picky eater. He was hard to get weight on. And the first thing you said is, we've got to put him on vitamin E. And we did. And oh my goodness, did that sucker look fantastic. Oh, it was great. So tell people, like, how do you feed it? I know there's limits on how much you can feed and how often you can feed it. How does that work?
Well, the biggest problem with natural vitamin E is most horses don't get enough of it. So about the best source of natural vitamin E is green grass. And horses have to graze a significant period of time, 12 hours or more a day, to get enough vitamin E to just meet their maintenance requirements. So if you have a horse that's working and is not out on grass like many horses are, or only goes out for an hour, or is out on kind of poor pasture, then you absolutely need to supplement that.
So the 9 months a year they have grass in most places, and the other 3 months they don't. It's covered in snow or it's dead. So they're missing it in those months then too,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah, in the winter. In fact, there was a study done in Canada, Philip, that showed that the levels in the horse from January through April and September through December dropped. The blood levels of vitamin E, because they're not grazing and they're not getting it anymore. Once the hay is dried, once the grass is dead or hay is dried and cut, within 7 days, there's a 70% decrease in the amount of vitamin E in that particular forage.
And it doesn't matter the kind of hay, if alfalfa or whatever?
Makes no difference.
Okay.
It just
Wow.
and that's typical of vitamins in general. They denature very quickly.
I think, though, to follow that up, I think everybody that feeds alfalfa thinks that, it's just the cure-all, end-all to everything because it's $1,000 a bale. And, all the nutrients are still there because it's alfalfa.
Yeah, and because it's still green.
Right.
Right.
When, in fact, it's pretty much a chocolate candy bar.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah, so the vitamins do disappear pretty quickly in most hays. So it's very important that you feed natural vitamin E. There's a lot of synthetic vitamin E out there, which is actually a petroleum product, believe it or not.
Ew.
It's
Really?
a petroleum distillate, yeah.
Ugh.
Isn't that gross? Ew.
Yeah.
And the natural vitamin E comes from plant sources like soybean. So, and a lot
And
of
how
times,
would you know that? Would it say natural vitamin? Like, how would
yes,
you know?
it would say natural vitamin E, or it says D-alpha tocopherol. And that's the chemical name. If it says DL-alpha tocopherol, then it's synthetic. But if it says D-alpha tocopherol, then it's natural. So that's what you're looking
So
for.
cool. I would not have known that.
So if it says vitamin E supplement, or then typically it's not natural.
So it should say natural.
You're looking for natural, yeah.
Yeah, from a natural source.
So you want that D-alpha tocopherol. That's the best. And the horses, we've done lots and lots of research, tons of it. They just don't absorb the synthetic very well at all.
And what's the relationship between vitamin E and selenium? I think they come together quite a bit.
Vitamin E and selenium, they're both antioxidants. So they do a similar job. And they help each other, and you have to have enough selenium in the body as well for proper muscle function. The problem with selenium is if you feed too much, you can cause toxicities. Whereas with vitamin
I've heard a lot
E,
about that. Yeah.
it's really not a problem. Horses that are suffering from severe neurological issues have been put on 20,000 IUs, international units, of vitamin E for months and months at a time, and they have no problem with it. So at the levels you're feeding a performance horse, 3,000 to 5,000 IUs a day, there's no issue at all with toxicity with vitamin E.
It sounds like sort of not only performance horses, but every horse could use a vitamin E boost.
I recommend it to about every person that I talk to, because very few horses are out on enough grass, green grass, year round.
to be getting the
And
vitamins.
at least
he needs.
if your horse is grazing all day long and he's standing around and not doing much, then that's fine until the winter. And then a supplement is helpful. But if you're working them at all, as you work them, as that muscle works, there's of course more going on within the muscle, and there's more of those. There's more oxidative stress occurring in the muscle. So the higher the requirements go as you work the horse. So any horse that's worked, even if they're turned out 24/7, can use 1,000 or 2,000 IUs to help support that muscle health and neuron and the nerve cells.
Wow. So how do you know? So you need 3,000 to 5,000 international units
Yes.
per horse?
Yep, IUs.
And then how do you regulate that? The supplement, do you check your feed? Like, how does that work? How can you get to that level?
Well, you can look at some feeds do have natural vitamin E in them, and you just do your calculation because your feed bag will tell you how many IUs per pound. And then you figure out how much you're feeding. And typically it's a maintenance dose. So maintenance is 1,000 to 2,000 IUs. And then depending on how hard your horse works, you just go up from there, 3,000 to 5,000. So I think most of your horses, your guy that was having some issues, we put him on 5,000, didn't we?
I think we did too.
We did.
Yeah.
Typically that's what I'll do. And then if we've got a horse that's just working hard, we'll put him on 3,000.
Which KPP product is it for?
This is Elevate.
Elevate. Okay. The Elevate product. I'm on your website, by the way. We don't talk enough about how cool your website is because I'm on your website and there is more information about each product on this website than any other website out there. And you have a tab that's for more information on vitamin E and must have 30 articles on it. So, I mean, you could spend all day just researching vitamin E. And then you buy Elevate in a tub. Is that correct?
Yes, it
Okay.
comes in a jar, 2-pound jar.
And so a 2-pound jar, how long? I know we're talking about all these terms that I got lost on, the amount.
Yeah, the international unit.
Yes. So how much do I feed and how long does a bucket last?
If you're feeding the maintenance dose of 1,000 IUs, 2-pound jar lasts 130 days.
Okay, that's better.
So 65 if you're feeding
That's
2,000.
something I can relate to.
And one
Of course.
scoop is
Yeah.
1,000 IUs.
Okay, good.
And we've had no trouble with anybody eating it. It's pretty palatable. They don't seem to even bother with it. They eat it and it's all good. And so it's been very helpful. And that horse that we were talking about, he gained weight. His coat got so much better, and I was really curious, so I really tried not to change anything else in his diet, and it made an incredible difference in that particular horse.
Right.
So.
You were trying to build some muscle on him, and we're having trouble building muscle over his top line. And the vitamin E seemed to help with that too.
Oh, it made a huge difference. So, and Karen, also your team, if you have questions, Karen does a fantastic job with helping design what supplements your horse needs to be on and why they need to be on it. And maybe you don't need this or you need this. So I highly recommend Karen and her team. And Karen, how do our listeners find you online?
They can go to kppusa.com. That's our website. Or they can go to our Facebook page. We have a nice Facebook page, and we answer questions from the Facebook page.
On Facebook, search Kentucky Performance Products, and it comes right up.
Well, this week's Total Saddle Fit Tip of the Week is actually about one of their new products. Phil, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I guess TotalSaddleFit.com has come out with a new awesome shim pad. It's 100% wool fleece and fits 6 shim pockets, and it comes with the shim, so you don't have to buy them separate. And it helps to fit your saddle maybe intermittently before you can get your saddle fitter out, or if you have a growing horse, it has a ton of applications. And I just got it this week. I sat the shim pad on a horse. I have a horse. He's 5 going on 6 now, and he needs for the saddle that I've sort of been using on him, he needs a little lift in the back. And Justin sent me the pad, and I have to tell you, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. We're hoping to have Justin come on the show to talk about his new shim pads, but I think from how I've used it already, it's got great the wool fitting. It's pretty great. So
yeah, and it has, instead of the 4 normal pockets, which most shim pads have, this one has 6, which I think is really cool that Justin's figured out a way to give you even more padding in different areas of the saddle, which I think is fantastic.
It
And they
gives you,
also have this
super adjustability, right?
this wither freedom. Yeah, and it also has this wither freedom technology, which is a deep cut back over the withers and spine under the pommel to take away any pressure from sensitive withers. And it gives you better pommel clearance, which I think is really helpful because we've had a horse with really, really high withers, and they're incredibly difficult to fit. And this pad should really, really help that problem.
Yeah,
you said, Phil,
can't fit those types of horses with a normal half pad or shin pad because, I mean, I was just telling Reese that I had to literally cut up a half pad last year to fit a horse that needed a little adjustment in the saddle. It was right before a show, and I found out that he was rubbing over his wither, and I was like, this can't be, this horse is going to come up with a sore on his back and all this stuff. So we had the half pad in the barn, and I basically ruined the half pad because but it worked for the horse at the time.
You had to cut it out.
Yeah, 2 weeks later we got the saddle fitter out, and all was well. But at the time we had to show. I mean, we had to show the horse, and there was no solution for that. But Justin sent over with this pad with better wither freedom, and I wish I had it last year, big time.
Yeah, no, and it's so great. And as always, Justin from Total Saddle Fit is fantastic, and he answers any saddle fitting questions. And I think you always have some. I don't know about you, Phil, but one of the benefits of being in Wellington is that we can have our saddle fitter out. So we had our saddle fitter yesterday, and it's so helpful. Like, for example, Elancourt, who I always chat about, he's really put on a ton of muscle in the last 3-4 months. He actually didn't even recognize him. He was like, "What horse is this? This is a new horse." And I was like, "No, it's the baby." He's like, "That's the baby?" I was like, "Yeah, it's not the baby anymore."
Not baby anymore, yeah. Exactly.
Not a baby anymore. He's a big guy now. And that's a really good thing because you want your saddle fitter to sort of say that, or say, "Oh, maybe this horse has gained a little weight or lost a little weight." And it will fit your, it'll make your saddle fit a little bit differently. And, here in Florida, we have access to the saddle fitter. I called Monday and he was out Wednesday. But, in Kentucky, I don't have that kind of access. They come twice a year. So this saddle pad is a fantastic option for helping with that. It makes it so much easier to fit the saddle and have it organized. So Justin, again, came out with another fantastic product. He really does a great job, and all his products are really reasonably priced. And he did a really, really good job with this product. So he also gave us a promo code. You can learn more at totalsaddlefit.com/ is that a / pad?
Yeah. /pad, or you just you go to the totalsaddlefit.com and you can click the link to the saddle pad. And I guess when you're checking out, you can enter the promo code Radio Pad. So that's capital RADIO, pad capital PAD, no space in between. And we thank Justin for allowing us to offer our listeners great promotions. And I highly recommend this pad. I think it's just great if you can use it as a normal half pad, no shims in it. But if you feel like, you got it, your saddle needs a little adjustment. I mean, you can try to adjust it a little bit, and if you don't like the adjustment, you just pull the shims out again. I mean, you're not locked into stuffing the saddle or whatever. And you can put a shim pad in here and say, oh, that works, or it doesn't work, and ride for a bit and try. There's so many options with 6 pockets. You can get the best fit possible that you can do without getting a saddle fitter out for sort of an interim solution. So I think it's awesome.
Exactly. Well, as always, you can find our show notes and links to today's guests on our website, dressageradio.com. Like us on Facebook, just search Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com, and my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
You can find me at philipparksequestrian.com, and my email is philip@horseradionetwork.com. I'd like to thank our sponsor this week for allowing us to put on a great show, and don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Everybody, keep your heels down and your shoulders back, and we will actually talk to you in 2 weeks. Next week's the Best Of Show. Enjoy!